Welcome to Week 9 of High to Math NCAA College Football Predictions. This week I'm coming to you from the trail behind Westminster Canterbury in Lynchburg, Virginia, where I do have a special guest that's going to join me just for the picks. So let's get started. First pick this week is a Thursday night game between Georgia Tech and Virginia Tech, playing in Blacksburg. I think Virginia Tech's going to carry the day, probably 14 points, and they should be in control the whole game. What do you think, Pop?
Virginia Tech. It's really hard to pick one that when one of them is the option type of football, because you really don't know how well Virginia Tech, their opponent, is going to adjust, how long it's going to take them to adjust. And but if Virginia Tech, their coaches, they're on the ball, which I suspect they will be because this is a conference game, then I think Virginia Tech will prevail.
Yep, that's my guest picker this week, my father-in-law. He and I have been watching football together for decades, and it's an honor for me to have him as my first guest picker for this series. The next two teams we're going to talk about, Ohio State and Alabama, both have byes this week, and I've picked both of them to play in the national championship. Ohio State lost last week to Purdue, so they're ranked number 11 now with a 6-1 record. There's 6 teams ahead of them that also have one loss. So I expect Ohio State to win the rest of the season and to get into the national championship. That has not changed. Alabama with their bye week. Next week they play LSU, ranked number 4. That's going to be probably their toughest game of the season. Any thoughts on those games, Pop?
Oh, well, I watched Ohio State's debacle. They're a huge upset by Purdue, and it shocked me. And I really thought that they were better than that, but they didn't. The coaches didn't seem to react. They couldn't make the adjustments, and it just showed me a ugly side to Ohio State that I didn't realize was there at this point. I've really thought little about number one, Alabama, obviously, but who that second spot ought to be, I have no idea. Need to see other teams play.
Army might somehow find a way to get into the national championship or something. I don't know. Next is the game of the week. Florida ranked number 9 is going to Georgia, ranked number 7. I picked Georgia by 7. Thoughts, Pop?
I think I would pick Florida. Georgia, I've thought a lot. I picked Georgia a number of times, at least in my head, and they've let me down. So I think folks going to play in the swamp. Is this going to be in the swamp?
No, it's at Georgia.
Oh. Oh, that could change. Georgia having the home advantage might do better.
Excellent. Next we have Nebraska. I expect them to pull this one out. They're playing at home again against BethuneCookman. This is the replacement game for the first game of the season that was canceled because of weather. Pop, you think Nebraska is going to carry the day on this one?
They've started their undefeated streak. And they should beat BethuneCookman. And it might be closer than Nebraskans would like to think.
Next, we have number 18, Iowa, playing at number 17, Penn State. Penn State's already had their whiteout. It's a horrible stadium to go play in if you're the visiting team, but I think Iowa's going to pull it out by 3 late. Pop, what do you think?
I'd have to go with Penn State. Again, home field advantage, both of them are tough. Both of them are a little let down, I guess. But no, I would go with Penn State.
2 games left. Army at Eastern Michigan. I think Army. Let me ask the West Point class of '61 grad what he thinks.
I would pick Army also, but don't make me pick points. I have no idea. It could be another 31-30 like we had this past week.
Excellent. Another Army victory. I still am a little nervous about that second Saturday in December for the Army-Navy game. And the last game that we have is Navy-Notre Dame. Notre Dame's still going to be number 3 at the end of the game. Pop, what are your thoughts?
Notre Dame. We should prevail. And it'll take them having a serious off week and Navy having a serious on week.
Just to wrap up week 9, let me give you a little bit of background of the Navy-Notre Dame game. During World War II, Notre Dame enrollment was dropping because all of the young men were being drafted and sent over to Europe or to the Pacific for World War II. So as the enrollment dropped, Notre Dame was in a financial situation where they weren't going to be able to keep the doors open. Secretary of the Navy said, Notre Dame is a national treasure. We need to keep Notre Dame open. They created an officer training program on the campus of Notre Dame, built a bunch of buildings, and to this day, it's my understanding, a number of the buildings built by the Navy in World War II are still being used for academic buildings, and Notre Dame has the largest naval ROTC program, maybe the largest ROTC program of all services in the nation today. So that's kind of your feel-good story for what probably won't be that great of a game, but the rich history behind it makes it a much more important game and a much more meaningful game to those of us who have served and understand the history. Have a great week. Next week, I hope to be coming to you from Omaha, Nebraska with another special guest picker. Have a great week. Go Navy. Beat Notre Dame.